without changing my clothes, my shoes, my body posture. I can't do what I want to do with my own body, and who in the hell set things up like this? I was wrong again to be me being me where I was. Wrong to be who I am. I am very familiar with the problems of the CIA, and the problems of white America in general, and the problems of the teachers and the preachers and the FBI and the social workers and my particular mom and dad. I am very familiar with the problems because the problems turn out to be me. I am the history of the terrorized incarceration of myself. I am the history of battery, assault, and limitless armies against whatever I want to do with my mind and my body and my soul. I am not wrong. Wrong is not my name. And I can't tell you who the hell set things up like this, but I can tell you that from now on, my resistance.
Oh, it just cut off. It just cut off.
Man,
I was jamming.
I love a little June in the morning.
A little June in the mornings. Listen, we were just talking backstage about Coolio, and I was saying I was sad when he passed. I mean, was that song from Dangerous Minds the best song? Not necessarily. Can I rap it? Of course I can, because I was, that was my kind of music back in the day. But then you said that not only were you also sad, but his daughter is doing some interesting things, and I didn't know that. What are those things?
I don't know. I just saw her. I just saw it, and she was like, I think she might be cooking. I honestly don't know, but what happened was there was a post that came by with like his music, and I was like, and it was posted by her, and it was like, remembering my dad and things like that. So
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I know I saw it, and I was like, oh, he's got a daughter.
Yeah, I didn't know he had a daughter.
Me neither. I know that he had got into cooking, like he had got into like catering and cooking. He was on one of those reality shows. But yeah, I liked Coolio. Coolio had 3 songs that I really enjoyed. So
Yeah, and I could rap along with Coolio.
oh, because it was radio friendly. Was that were
No,
you like
no,
allowed not
it
to
wasn't too fast.
Oh,
I don't talk fast, so trying to rap. Oh, like with Kendrick, for example. I can't talk that fast.
yeah, he does.
I can't.
Nice. You just
Yeah.
made Kendrick a mumble rapper.
Oh no, I was trying to make it like the Flintstones, like yabba dabba doo.
Yeah, but it was wild.
Anyway, how you been, friend?
I've been all right.
Same. Is my uh is my what's going on in your black girl world? That would be mine. Um, I've been swimming. I only admitted this out loud maybe yesterday, 2 days ago, that for the past couple weeks I've been what I call swimming in a sea of sadness. I didn't really want to admit it because I didn't want it to be real. Um, but I've been pretty blah
Yeah.
for a while. And so that's not cool. I've also in my black girl world, I've been itching a lot. I think we talked a little bit about, random symptoms of menopause. I've been apparently this itching that I've been having.
I was, I like to put them on the tree jizz and the allergies.
Yes.
But the black lady who does the foraging, I don't know if you've seen her. It's a black lady. She's got glasses and she's very whimsical.
Yeah.
It's like foraging, and she was like, "This myth won't die," and she explained that the commonly held belief that the reason why our allergies are worse is because city planners are only planting male trees. Because since female trees bear fruit, the powers that be did not want us to have like free fruit growing on because capitalism.
That's not true.
I don't, according to her, no. According to her, the reason it's not true is because most plants have both the male and female on each tree and sometimes on each leaf. So even if you don't plant even if you don't plant female trees, um, there's still the male and female reproductive things that plants need to reproduce, right? So there's not because the conversation is that there's an excess of the pollen part, and there's not an equal amount of the flower part. And she said, no, that's not true. She said the reason our allergies are getting worse is because we're not spending as much time outside. And she mentioned something about how that's messing up the interaction between CO2 and carbon dioxide is the CO2.
Yeah.
Oxygen in the CO2, which is causing us to be more sensitive and the trees to be like more polleny.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. I also kind of
I don't know.
the what she's calling a myth. I think that also makes sense.
I think all of it makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's room for both.
I do. I also do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think
We don't be going outside.
we don't. I don't like outside. I like the idea of outside, but outside makes me itch. Which is, but again, I won't put all of my itching on to outside. I think a lot of it is menopause. So let me tell you what I've been doing before you tell me what's in your black girl world. So now I'm doing a Zyrtec every day with a Pepsid AC. I do that in the morning. That was a suggestion from one of my friends. And then at night, I take a Benadryl.
Yeah, because you can't itch if you sleeping, and that's Benadryl's slogan.
Yeah. So it's been helpful, honestly. It's been helpful.
Mark that down, chat. I think
Zyrtec.
I think that for anybody who needs just conversate like suggestions, right? Because menopause is something everyone just goes through the first time, right? And we don't really talk about it. So
We
tips
should
that will
spend the whole show talking about menopause one day. We should get like we should invite a doctor on and just talk about menopause.
I think that's smart.
Yeah. What's
Scary.
happening in your black girl world?
Always a lot and nothing. So what I did want to talk about, because it's been making me laugh. The state of Minnesota in 2024 got a new flag. I'm from Minnesota. I think that especially when you're a black person from a black community in a white state, you don't so much identify with the state as you do with the city, like Memphis in Tennessee or New Orleans in Louisiana or Chicago in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm from Jackson. I'm not from Mississippi. People say
Yeah,
that.
but Jackson's still black though.
Yeah.
But this is but I mean, ooh.
Jackson is black. Well, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's populated. So I say that to say the state got a new flag. I like the flag. It is, it's light blue for the water. It's got a star for the North Star, and it's got kind of like a cutout of the state of Minnesota.
It's cute.
Yeah, last time I seen it, I was like, this is a really cute flag. And then some friends of mine were sending me stuff about how like the deep north rises again, and I was like, what is the like
deep north?
So the deep north it's this term that folks use to acknowledge that there was slavery in the north, and also that as folks try to hide behind their abolitionism or their progressiveness, like the history of racism in the north is just as harrowing and horrible, right? So I'm like, okay, what this got to do with the flag? So apparently there are some white businesses that are refusing not to let go of the old state flag. And I realized I had never seen what the old Minnesota state flag looked like. And then I Googled it. And so the Minnesota state flag, it's a blue flag with a seal in the middle. And on the flag, there's like like and when I say engine, I mean like the white imagination of what a First Nation person looks like, naked on a horse with like a white man like literally stealing his land with like a shotgun. And I was like, oh wow, like if this the flag you trying to hold on to, you are a different kind of like out loud racist.
You had never paid attention to
That's
that before?
at all, right? Because I don't associate so much with the state as
Mm-hmm.
much as I do with the city, right? And cities, cities have their own flags.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, man, how bad could it be? Or not how bad could it be, but like, what is it about this flag that has the racists so excited to keep it? And when I saw it, I was like, there we go. So I don't know if you can see the old one, but if anyone can, and if your screens are probably bigger than what we have, but there's literally like a white man like tilling the indigenous folks' land, and um, yeah, with a gun next to him, and I was just like,
What are those? Do you know what those stars are around the circle?
I don't know what they specifically stand for, but I know Minnesota's the North Star state, so I figured it has something to do with that. I'm pretty sure the terminology is due north, right? Because again, expansion
Mhm.
and genocide.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, like the engine's naked in the back. The white dude got the shotgun on the rock. There's the water, the trees, but I just think that people are really making a stance to let you know, which is beautiful, right?
Mhm,
Choosing
mhm,
sides makes things very clear. But it's just making me laugh because that's like a really seriously racist image
mhm.
to say I'm gonna like keep flying this flag. So that's that's been
Well,
giving.
which one do you think is more racist, the old Minnesota flag or the old Mississippi flag? With the we had the little
Yeah, y'all got.
Confederate block up there.
I think this one is more racist. I think I think the Mississippi flag speaks to a very specific racist symbol, but
Mhm.
the actual picture of a naked Indian on a horse, like that, like that's a choice.
Yeah.
But I do think that the Mississippi flag has probably galvanized more people towards racism. I want to say contemporarily,
Mhm.
like giving them a yeah, we still here.
Mhm.
Whereas like I don't I think yeah, I don't they both bad in different ways.
They are.
What do you think now that you've seen the Minnesota flag?
Uh, I think I might say the old Mississippi flag only for this reason. Um, the old Minnesota flag, you have to kind of lean in close to see what's happening in the picture.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this picture is telling a story. What's this? You got to do that. Where the old Mississippi flag is just like, boom, here it is.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
when
don't
you
have to
yeah,
interpret anything.
when you enter the state, I remember driving from Louisiana entering the state, and
Hmm.
I was like, we here now. Like
Hmm.
yeah, it definitely was a jarring feeling.
Hmm.
Y'all new flag is cold though. I like the colors and everything.
The Minnesota flag.
No, y'all's the new
Oh yeah,
Mississippi.
yeah. The new Mississippi flag is cool.
I like it. Yeah, it's pretty.
Hmm.
Do y'all like it?
I think most people do. There was one before this one that was assumed that it would be the one, but then the legislature had a fight, and it was we'll go with this flag as long as it has "In God We Trust," because you gotta hold on to something.
You do. You
Yeah,
do. Especially in the South.
maybe that's incrementalism. Anyway, um, so oh, I would like. We've spent a lot of time together in physical space over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yep.
And one was a road trip to an esteemed university where you were invited to workshop a chapter of the book you are penning. And I would love to hear about that. I'd love for folks to learn a little bit about what you're doing, the amazing work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Let's talk about the road trip a little bit first
It was
because it was awful.
not you, but yeah, it was awful going up there.
It was awful.
It was awful.
We went to Nashville, y'all.
Yeah, there were we got run off the road by an 18-wheeler.
We did. We're safe though.
Yeah, we're alive. We
But
could
we
have not
did.
been, like, for real deal. We could have not been. Um, Legit run off the road by an 18-wheeler. Then it started storming. Um, our maximum speed during the storm was like 50 miles per hour.
Yes,
Wasn't safe
we
to
were
pull over.
smart.
Yeah, it wasn't safe to pull over. Other people, however, were driving like it was not storming. So then we almost got hit by a car that maybe hit like a puddle or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Spun out of control. We saw 4 accidents.
I think so. Yeah.
4 accidents. And then randomly we saw a car and a motorcycle at different points along the trip driving on the shoulder of the road. That was weird. It was, yeah.
It
The trip
was.
was awful.
The drive was awful.
The drive was awful. The trip was good. The drive was awful.
Yeah, the trip was pretty good. We got to stay in the Airbnb and see all the construction. And I told you a friend of mine calls Nashville Atlanta for white people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can see it. I can
I
see
think it
it.
tracks.
There was construction everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Really not a homey feel to it. But I was invited by Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has this series called the Black Worlds and World Making seminar, and they invite folks who are in process of writing something. And it's really cool because they have faculty, some, grad students or postdoc folks from different disciplines who agree to read, a chapter or an article that you write and essentially talk to you about it, ask you questions, critique it, give you suggestions, praise if it's worthy of that. Um, and for me, it was really good because I really like I really struggle with being clear when I'm writing things for other audiences because I'm the person who pulls like 30 strings of a web into saying this is the thing that connects them all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes my difficulty is keeping people interested enough while I introduce you to all the 30 strings and then pull them together because a lot of times it's like what is like why is she talking about this? This is not connected to but I always say if you stay with me by the end you'll be like so I never know if the writing is like strong enough or interesting enough for people to stick with me the whole time. So um the chapter was the experience was really good in general because when you give somebody a chapter of a larger book, they get to ask questions about stuff that I get to say, oh, that's in another chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt good because that let me know that I had considered those things. Like, okay, like I'm on the right track. But so the chapter is called The Virus and the Viral, or The Viral and the Virus. And what I'm doing in that chapter I'll talk about the book real quick. So the book is called we don't have a title, but it's looking at this idea I've introduced called the Black Protest Industrial Complex that I say is an evolution of interest convergence of the 1960s and kind of like co-optation of um, co-optation of Black revolutionary movements, right? So I talk about how, Black Lives Matter kind of fell under that same, um, it falls in the same way that the civil rights movement does, where integration becomes this symbol for the economic, political, and social benefits of whiteness, right? So I say that's kind of what happened to Black Lives Matter. I talk about how the elements of this complex come together, but I talk about how 2020 is when they emerged, right? When everything came together in the aftermath of the police killing of George Floyd. So in this chapter, I'm painting a picture of 2020 to create elements of this perfect storm, right? So I talk about one, the way that 2020 and the COVID-19 shutdown just changed the way we're using social media, right? How it created different,
Everything.
yeah, how it created different types of influencers, how it changed the way we consume, changed
Mhm.
the way we participate in social movements and everything. Um, then I also talk about how like Black political formations during COVID weren't so much on the internet as much as doing like day-to-day, survival stuff. But what replaced their time on the internet was really a lot of grifters, a lot of, celebrities, a lot of corporations, a lot of politicians who are kind of using this Black Lives Matter thing as a marketing tool, as a ploy, right? But the reality that a lot of people entering during that time, they didn't know the difference, right? They didn't know that the people who were hashtagging weren't connected to movements in cities. They didn't know that people were just, stealing money or trying to launch their rap careers or their political careers,
Mhm.
because it seemed legit. Then I also talk about another aspect being the way that police, um, no pun intended, right, choked down on Black communities during COVID,
Mhm.
right? How arrests for non-violent offenses went up, how it's harder to get bail because everything's online, court's online. So if you get a ticket, you don't know how to pay it. How police were raiding um, community centers and, throwing people in jail because they weren't social distancing when they were trying to have communal gatherings, how they were, putting homeless people in jail for violating curfew and stuff like that. And then I talk about how the George Floyd incident itself, the police killing, because it was viral, because of it being so reminiscent of Eric Garner, because of the powder keg that was 2020, that kind of caused it to explode in this way. So that's kind of what I talked about, trying to give a short thing for like a 30-page chapter.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of good feedback. I got some good feedback about the fact that the way I'm talking about the experience of Black communities during COVID is something that people hadn't thought about before in that way. Um, I got some commentary about how much of my personal life gives me insight to talk about police violence and social movements, and these experiences in specific ways, and why that's not in the book. I think that's always a thing that I struggle with in terms of how much do I want to put myself in there
Yeah.
when quote unquote academic writing claims that we need to be objective, right? I can't cite my experience, but my experience is literally what gives me the knowledge to know what I know, right?
That's the lens through which I see and understand everything.
Right. So
My
it's
experience.
one, and then also because some of the stuff is super personal, like I also kind of want to hold it sacred. Some of the stuff I don't want to be in a book, even though it's some of the things that inform the writing. Like some of the work I was doing in Oakland 2014 2010 through 2014, 2015,
Mhm.
um, informs my understandings of police violence. Some of the things I experienced and witnessed in New Orleans, or so some of it is kind of like, do I want to tell these stories in this book? But it was really dope. Like I said, the feedback was good. It was good for people to say, I get it, I understand it. I got some really good comments and questions about things to include. And I like the fact that when people were confused about something, they asked. So I could say, oh, I need to be more clear on this, or Um, or sometimes people just aren't gonna understand it.
Sometimes people go out of their way not to understand.
Yeah. So, but it was a good experience. I think. Well, I know that it got me into a good groove of writing. Right. It got me kind of inspired, to put some words down. Sometimes I don't know what other people's writing process is, but mine is sometimes sporadic. And I've noticed that if I don't feel it, if whatever I write is gonna be trash anyways, and I'm just gonna have to write it over. So I kind of have to wait until I'm in a writing mood to write good stuff.
I could be like that. I think maybe that's, I don't know. I, I go back and forth between whether or not I just I am to just obey my creativity and write when I like when spirit moves me to write, or if I it might be better to take more of a Toni Morrison approach, not comparing us to Toni Morrison at all, but to make it be just a part of my discipline. Whether or not I actually have anything to say, it's just the practice of writing that 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 precipitates more writing. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's just a thing that came to mind when you brought that up. Listen, tell us a little more about what you mean when you say, I think I'm saying it right, the Black Protest Industrial Complex.
Yeah, I can do that. So
Oh, let me ask it like this. Okay, so you talked about how 2020 was like the, for lack of a better expression, powder keg. Like all these things came together. Boof, here's this complex, right? How has what you are terming from 2020 to just now, 6 years later, which is a lot of time and no time at all, how does that show up?
oh man, so I think one of the main things is that there's a difference between you predicting something's going to happen and people actually seeing it. So I think the first thing that happened, and this is, I talk about how in 2021 people kind of realized like what we thought was going to work in a specific way didn't work, right? There were really narratives and people who believed that social media in and of itself was enough to make systemic racial change, right? To change systemic racism. And when that didn't happen, when January 6th happened, right? Insurrection on the Capitol, um, people were, because you also had a lot of people who thought that the election of Joe Biden was a signal to these wins of Black Lives Matter. So when immediately you have this pushback from white nationalism saying we're not going to accept this, um, it made it broke a lot of people in a way because they realized that all this stuff we did, I don't want to say doesn't matter, but a lot of people are like it can't stop, white violence. And then when you have the immediate rollbacks and cutbacks in what people have been labeling DEI and the cutbacks ever since, right? That's direct retaliation from the gains that people had experienced, or and fought for, right, through Black Lives Matter. When you see what has happened to all these, movement leaders who have disappeared or have, shifted into other things, again, whether it be politics or, consulting or entertainment, right? Seeing all these people that were aligned with being actually leaders in a movement kind of abandon it for their own personal gain, has been something else that people have looked at. Um, and then honestly, we don't see the hashtag anymore as much anymore, right? We don't see folks organizing, and I use that term loosely because a lot of the issues with what people were doing via social media was completely disorganized. But we don't see people moving in the same ways. Um, yeah, so I would say like a lot of the rollbacks of the things that people thought were going to be helpful, whether it be like positions in corporations, funding, political declarations that didn't result in any change, right? So many cities were like, we're gonna defund the police and then didn't, or we're gonna, put more money in the budget for this and then didn't. Um, so I think all of those things, you know, are what, and again, now we're seeing like the rise of people using their involvement with it to catapult themselves into whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I think one of the issues, and I'm not talking specifically about individuals in this sense, but I think one of the issues is that there isn't a commonly understood definition of what a gain is. So like when you talk about when you reference Joe Biden's election at this time, we can even just step back to uh however many years prior, 8 years prior, 12, however many, to Barack Obama's 2 terms. Like what is the gain? Because what I see as not definitely not a historian or a public scholar like you, but just a person who pays attention a little bit, right, is that that's just a pendulum swinging. Like you don't have to be a student of history to know that, to pretty much know what's going to come next, because you know, whether it's history repeating itself or it's just human nature, that there is rarely there's rarely an opportunity to be politically, and I don't mean party, but politically central, and to work from that point toward the greater good for people, or not, right? It's just constantly swinging from side to side. And I think one of the things that is imperative for us if we're going to talk about gains, and working from gains, not only is the definition, but also to recognize that any gain that happens every in 4-year cycles is only happening in the context of having lost ground before you get to the gain. Like as this country, and there's some other, what are they called, first world countries, whatever, that follow along this same sense of nationalism, right? Everything that was what we call left, left of center, everything that was left, this is left, everything that was left is becoming more right. And that's been going on, I don't know, for forever. We could definitely say since Jimmy Carter. We talked about him before. Maybe right,
Yep, come up again.
maybe before Jimmy Carter. But like everything that was left, the left is more right than than it ever has been. And I think a part of that is because there is no clear definition of gain. Like I said, what does it mean to gain? There is no real interrogation of where we are. We have a whole lot of what should be conversations versus conversations about what is. And then I think I had a third one, but I don't remember.
No, I think you bring up some good points. I'm a shift this after I say this.
Mm-hmm.
One, you're right, because and it's funny when you said, what's left is becoming right, because we're returning to conversations out of context about how Black people used to be Republican, right? Which is not the same as the left, becoming more right. But in the absence of understanding history, people are saying like, we didn't used to be Democrat anyway. And then to your point about gains, for me, this is why I'm always pushing like assessment, right? This is one of the things that's necessary. Because if we're trying to make a movement, we need to be on the same page. I think fundamentally, though, measuring anything that happens materially with Black communities based on who's elected is a terrible metric regardless, right? Especially like, so, this episode is called like Skin Folk or Kinfolk. And I say that because not we personally, but I've seen too many Black people want to believe so badly in politicians and their capacity, right? Two, their ability. And the difference when I'm saying capacity, like how much they have to do. Ability, I'm talking about capacity. I'm talking about how much they kind of understand what they can possibly do. Ability, I mean, within the confines of their job as a politician, what they can do, right? I think we don't understand those things in terms of how
I'm sorry to cut you off, but so much of our understanding, so much of folks' frustration simply comes from you don't actually know what a mayor does. You don't actually know what, I mean, this president is not a good example, but you don't actually know what a president does. Like a president can't do that. Like
right, exactly.
Fix this thing. That's not what they do.
And then we unfairly criticize, and a lot of criticism is good, right? But in these situations, right, we criticize people for things that they didn't have anything that they couldn't do anything about anyways, right? Because and this is kind of what I'm speaking to in terms of there being just no need for political education or movement education when people say I'm an activist, right? And what that does is that leaves a lot of us who are sincere, open, and vulnerable, like I said, for people who use Blackness, right, as a way to get whatever they're trying to, get their, like I said, rap careers or political careers, right? But what happens that's bothersome is, and I've talked about this on other platforms, we go so hard for the symbolism of Blackness, right? If it looks like the type of Blackness we want it to look like, if it looks like that, we'll go for it without even paying attention. This is why old boy got as much what's his name, Paul Birdsong, right? That's how he got as much traction as he did, trying to claim that he's the new chairman of the Black Panther Party, like he dropped out the sky, because he had the rhetoric, he had the routine, he had the uniform, right? For people,
the characterizations, he had the characterizations.
Yeah, he had so I say that because when we talk about skin folk or kinfolk, a lot of times what we identify as being kinfolk is superficial as well. Like, oh, you know that Coolio song I know, so you Black like me. And it's like we need, like you say, we need something more solid to determine who is aligned with the same type of Black politic that we are, which is a different conversation.
Completely different conversation. 'Cause my God, what you're saying is that people are using Blackness as a tool the same way that Black folks generally can hold very closely to like respectability politics as a tool. Blackness itself is a tool.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I mean,
it's not crazy that you're saying that, but just the idea. Like that.
That is, and it's so profitable, and it's so marketable, and it's so malleable, right? Listen. I wish we could pull it up, but there is a whole AI like Instagram account with it's like it's like women with locks with pyramids in the backs, and they be like, they taught us we were slaves, but we're not. And it's like they taught us but it's all AI, right? But because we have fed so much into it,
Mhm.
like I'll show it to you. Like if I could pull it up, but I'll show it to you because it's disturbing how much of that you actually hear people say in real life, or how much of that imagery, right? So it's like the black dude one, he's got like a grill and some face tattoos, but like a kufi, and he's the pyramids is in the back, and he's got like it's like a camouflage kufi or something, and he's like, what we need to do, black people. And then you see all these real people like reposting it and like sharing it, like, yeah, this is what I'm like, do you realize these aren't even like, but because we've sold and bought and marketed
Oh my
blackness in a
God.
certain way, when they see it, it resonates in their soul with what they think black men should be looking like and saying, what black women should be looking like and saying, right? It was like they taught us to hate the black man, but we should hate the system. And it's like, okay, yeah, but like, and they all got like the like the half free form and like the Lauren Hill lock, like the 96 Lauren Hill locks,
Yeah.
right? And they all got the like, I was like, but real people, right? I think that the account has like thousands of followers. And real, yeah, you heard the sister, she was right, and you like, none of that, but that's enough,
That
right?
sister is a computer.
That is not real. So
Is
now it's
that
not just skin folk or kinfolk. It's like,
skin folk, kin folk, or computer folk?
right.
Computer love.
Man, we aren't in a, yeah, but I think that it's unfortunate because it makes it even harder to get people to actually want to do the studying and stuff to have a deeper understanding, because they really believe you don't need it. Like social media, like what I call the social media era of the Black freedom struggle, gave people a model for being activists that was completely disconnected from political education,
Organizing.
from community organizing, and from grounding in any ideology, any ideology of blackness. We can argue about whether you're a Fanonian, or whether you're looking at Steve Biko or Nkrumah or all, but if you don't have any basis, and blackness is whatever whoever you're following is what you're imitating and what you're validating, that's troublesome. That's troublesome because, and I say this as an educator, I've seen it with the young people and what it's not a joke. It's sad, but you see so many papers now from students being written on pop culture, right? Like, I'm going to do something about Kendrick Lamar. I'm going to write a paper about Cardi B, and I'm going to write a paper about, right? But looking at blackness only through a lens of celebrities, right? Or thinking that they're introducing something new because it's new to them,
Yeah.
right? So
That's sad.
it is. But again, this is kind of why we do the stuff we do, right? In terms of being an intervention, being an interruption, providing an example that people can look at and say, oh, this is something different. What y'all are doing here is literally something different. The people that come through it operate different. They're able to have different conversations. They're able to analyze things differently. Um, because when you put it up against, right, when you put the AI, put it like this, if you put the AI up against me, you'll be able to see the difference in like the platitudes versus like, oh, this is actual analysis.
Hmm. I what scares me though is the thought that there are so many people who don't and will not be able to tell the difference. That the point at the point where we're talking analysis and referential context, that it will be dismissed as, well, it is dismissed as, oh, well, I don't need to know all that. I don't need all that part. I just need, like, give me the take home points. Give me the highlights. It's like some things, highlights get you in the door, perhaps. Highlights don't keep you in the house.
I w- I wish that was true. I
Mm-hmm.
think the problem is that that's not true anymore, because it doesn't it because the people the people running the house, they don't they don't have it either,
Yeah.
right?
Everybody just want to know what's going to be on the test. And the thinking, and the problem with that is that we make so many things an end point when they're really just an entry point.
That's a bar. That's a bar. That's definitely a bar, right? Right. Now that you've read this book, like the episode of Fresh Prince when he was like, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the end point. That
Yeah.
doesn't solidify your journey. That's
Right.
literally the place to start.
Right. Passing the test. Exactly. Passing the test does not mean you have arrived and can sit down. Passing the test means now you're ready for more.
See, and this is the larger critique of like higher education, right? And I say this because we just had a conversation earlier this week on campus about competency,
Mm-hmm.
right? About students not being able to know what a primary source is, or being able to use proper citation format. And the because higher education generally is it's operating off of a profit model, right? How do we increase enrollment, because enrollment is what pays us? How do we make people feel like they're paying, that what we're offering is worth them paying for it?
Has a value.
But the value is not in learning, right? The value is in, I paid money so I can get the degree, right? Or I paid money so I can have the cultural experience, right? Or I
Mm-hmm.
paid money, not I paid money to study, because the young folks are like, why would I do that? That's a terrible idea,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I paid money to get the job.
So what ends up happening is, because institutions have to continue to make it seem like they're prestigious, they continue to lower the standards for competency so they can still say 90% of our students are competent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not competent, what's the skip line? Systems want rigor, something something. Dang. But it's that dichotomy, right? That
But I don't.
she like, I don't listen to that I don't listen to that foolishness. I don't listen to that music. I wish we could play it on the way out, but that's the issue with our educational system. Yeah, students need relevance and systems want rigor. That's the line. That's the line, right? Yeah, so as a result, what they need and what they want is not the same thing, right? So
Yeah.
I think we're ready to play our little, you still want to play this game?
I do want to play this game, but I also, if we could talk more about this next time. Um, I think that's why it is imperative upon us to create and sustain our own systems and ecosystems for education. And education for me is any kind of learning and knowledge, not strictly I was about to say 2 plus 2. But yeah, I think integrated. integrated learning and knowledge. So it's not just about um what does this calculus do for me? Depending on what your interests are, maybe nothing. We have to be real about that. And we have to be able to relate the learning to real life. So that's not just a school system thing. Again, that means that we have to build our own things that can do that, which is one of the things that we have tried to do with the lighthouse.
Yeah, I think 100%. And I think the beauty of what's happening at the lighthouse is that it it is intentionally locally focused but
Mhm.
far reaching, because I think one of the problems is, specifically in like this business style model, everybody just wants to scale, right? And the reality is the things that may work so well in a specific way in Jackson are because of the people and the environment of Jackson being connected to how that learning happens. So without like, and again, assessment, right? Collecting data, without looking in other places and saying, would this even work here? Or how can we take the ideas and integrate them into the community, right? This is why we have so many like models for charter schools or models for programs that people say are super successful in one place. I don't, charter schools is a whole different conversation, but they're not, but
That's
people,
6 weeks from now.
yeah, but people want you to like, back to our conversation about what gains is, right?
Mhm.
If it's not scalable and it's not always growing, people think that it's not working or worthwhile. And the
Mhm.
reality is sometimes the most way to keep something powerful and potent is to keep it small,
Mhm.
right? The way, especially when we're talking about creating centers of like liberatory education under duress, right? Under attack, right?
Mhm.
You know, you don't want it to get so big. You want to make sure that the people can get the attention, can get the collaboration, and that you have enough people you can trust. The idea is that you plant those seeds and then they go out, right? And then they can not necessarily scale, but they can, do similar things wherever they go and whatever they go into, right?
Yeah.
Instead of saying we need to have all these things um without being intentional about how that spread is.
Mhm.
So I like that.
And I also think there is merit on the flip side of that. I think there is some merit for starting out um broad, wide, and funneling down. Like this is information that, and I'm thinking of that specifically again in the lighthouse context. We have an opportunity to do something that we have not done before. We have Black Girl Summer, a lot of activities. That's a busy time of the year for us, but we're doing a thing this year partnering with the school district where we will have the opportunity to engage with more than 500 students. That's the most number of students we've ever engaged at one time, right? So here's this. Okay, this is great. Everybody can get this knowledge. But if we are looking again to um, building a sustainability model, then from that 500, we got to funnel down. So,
Mhm.
like with the media literacy training, we're expecting maybe about 75, 100 young people. Okay, that's great. But also, we've set aside an opportunity for up to 5 young people to have an internship. So you can learn more. There's hands on, there's whatever. So then that's also getting into the ecosystem and not just the lighthouse as a bunch of programs, but it's the ecosystem and it's also um, why we think what we think, how we think what we
Mhm.
think, that kind. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we got 3 minutes.
Oh, I mean, we had told the people sometimes we might go over to 75 minutes because I really want to play this game. We're going to play a game called Skin Folk or Kinfolk. I'm excited about it. I have no idea
Me neither.
who we're about to see, which I think is exciting. You're going to say if you think the person is a skinfolk or kinfolk, I will too. We'll give a little bit of justification and move to the next one. We'll do a few rounds of that.
All right, let's do it.
Let's see what we got. Producer, skinfolk or kinfolk?
I don't know this person.
Is that Ursula Burns? I don't
know this person.
Oh, or is that?
Am I not the kinfolk because I don't know who this is?
Maybe so. I'm just gonna. I
don't know this person.
Barbara Smith.
That's wild because I've never seen a picture of her not young.
I haven't either. That's why I thought it was Ursula Burns because of the well, Barbara Smith.
Barbara Smith is kinfolk. Yeah, for sure.
For real. Yeah,
for sure.
We don't have to discuss that, but we probably should discuss how we didn't know what she looked like.
I think we should discuss the fact that we freeze our elders in time sometimes, right? Like I've never seen a picture of her not young.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's we should stop doing that. He's kinfolk. And I say that because kinfolk aren't perfect, right? Okay. I don't only want the people to be kinfolk, the people who are aligned with me. Mm-hmm. I think she's well intentioned. I think she's in a wild position to be trying to navigate Hollywood and the music industry. I think she tries to do good things. Sometimes she falls short, like undeniably, but we all do. So I don't want to have the kinfolk be only the folks that are beyond reproach.
I don't have enough in opinion, so I'll just copy off your paper.
Beautiful gowns. I don't know these people. That's crazy. That's me. That's wild. That's me in the white with the Kevin Garnett's on in the Blake 32 jersey.
That is wild.
That is like 15-year-old. No, what year? That is like 16-year-old me. That's crazy.
That made my heart smile.
Because we won that game.
Also,
baby, no, we lost that game.
Getty image. That's a Getty.
Yeah, we gonna get sued.
We still got the watermark on it, but I'm just talking about the fact that there's a picture of you in that archive.
Yeah, it's wild. I just realized that the people I grew up with, they know me as a basketball player. They don't know me as a scholar. They don't know me as like.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I'm kinfolk. I think this picture I might have to explain myself because I did go to a very elite private school for 2 years in high school instead of the local neighborhood school. So,
I think you're kinfolk.
That's wild. Put that out the archive.
Kinfolk.
Oh yeah.
I thought about her earlier. Yeah. We were talking.
Yeah, Ella Baker's kinfolk for sure.
Especially when you were we were talking about, the people who were coming out of Black Lives Matter and going on the movement and going on to do other things. And I thought about her because the people who were platformed and able to go on and do other things, people are attracted to charismatic leaders. And charisma is it, it might help more people hear you, but charisma itself is not a characteristic of leadership.
100%. 100%. Yeah, 100. Yeah. And the funny thing is this picture of her, like, if you didn't know her, you'd be like, oh, she's spitting into that microphone. But like the public speaking, rabble rouser, big, that wasn't even what her major strength was. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. But yeah, kinfolk for sure.
Skinfolk. Candace Owens.
I'm trying to think of a different term.
Even her,
like blackface though, right? Like, because the skin folk part is, it's very wild.
even her coming around, I think is, if we'll call that, just for lack of a better way to articulate it, her coming around is back to what we were talking about earlier, is using blackness as a tool.
Yeah, and that's why I said, like, even skin folk is a weird term.
Yeah.
I think it might be perfect, right? Because she has no obligation to black people.
Mm-hmm.
But because yeah, she's 100% skin folk. Because her skin is what got her the platform.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Kinfolk.
Kinfolk.
Again, right? Younger people. Like, I know I know that, I mean, I can tell like older pictures, but this is the like iconic
Mm-hmm.
lowercase,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Kinfolk. How many more we got? Oh, kinfolk.
100%. I've never seen this picture.
Johnny Till?
No?
You haven't? That's one of the few pictures I know of her.
Who is this person?
Johnny Tillman, a
Oh.
welfare advocate. Oh, maybe later I can drop a speech that she gave, a speech that she's, in as much as she is well known, she's not very well known, but in as much as she gave I think it's the speech that accompanies this picture. Maybe we could put it in the comments or something later for people to read.
I learned one. I see that black man looking at with admiration or
You like,
adoration.
yeah.
Yeah, right. I see that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, kinfolk.
Oh yeah, she kinfolk.
Kinfolk.
Long time kinfolk.
Yeah, love her. How many more we got? Don Staley. These aren't that controversial.
Nope. Clear cut.
Right as I say that. Okay.
Right. Okay. No. Okay, so here's the thing. How do we measure people whose work has inspired people to do real stuff, but their personal and but their personal lives and evolution is a departure from that thing that was so impactful? Because I still assign women, race, and class.
Yeah, because it's a good book. Our Prisons Obsolete is a good book. Yeah, I don't.
I don't want to hang out with her. I don't want to have dinner with her. And it's not a disrespectful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. I don't.
Oh, let me ask this: can skinfolk have kinfolk product? Can skinfolk produce?
Jeez. Yeah, 100%. I think this. Yes, 100%. And that's what sucks, because the way symbols work is we make things what we need them to be sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, real quick, how when people listen to Kendrick Lamar's "All Right,"
Mm-hmm.
they've taken the "All My Life I've Had to Fight" completely out of the initial context from The Color Purple.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It became through that song a symbol of essentially the black man's plight within the context of fatal police violence.
Yeah.
When initially it was specifically about black women's experiences. So I say that to say, because we take symbols and make them what we need them to be, people who aren't because people who aren't skin folks can produce something that's beneficial to us as kinfolk. and part of the being skin folk is knowing that, right? So that even make them more skin folk, because what they do have is an understanding of what Black people gravitate to.
I don't know why, but looking at this makes me sad. I especially because I asked the question, can skin folk produce, produce Black, I mean, what's it called? Kinfolk work, like quality work. I don't want to be that. I mean, I don't think I'm a skin folk. I don't know. Somebody probably thinks I am, but I don't want the things that I produce, the things that I'm offering community to be in controversy with who I am.
I don't think there are. I think there's clear alignment. I think one of the things that this conversation deserves is acknowledging that, because this is the perfect picture, right? Because how many Black women have decided that an afro is the thing that's going to make them kinfolk, regardless of their politic, right? But at the same time, will critique a woman who has, you know, uh, a weave or something,
Yeah.
right? Because we have made this image something that automatically gets you the door, and we've made other things that automatically put you in conversation and controversy, right? Because being honest, in 2026, the way a Black woman wears her hair today is not the same political statement as it was then.
Absolutely not.
It's not even as controversial, right, at all. So to even hold it in the same esteem, and I say that with other things, right? I think that's one of the issues. We use something superficial to determine whether or not someone is skinfolk or kinfolk. Like, oh, they got a grill, they gotta be, and just like my boy is every nigga with dreads for the cause? Is every nigga with gold for the fall? So don't get caught up in appearance.
Yeah.
And that's 90s talk, but we're still kind of like, if you look the right way, you with us. If you don't speak a certain way, I've had people tell me I sounded white. I said that's fine, right? Because your understanding of what white sounding is something I can't do nothing about.
Yeah.
I was appalled because the woman who said that, her dad's like a Republican in Texas as a Black person, and I was like, how dare you, kinfolk?
Is this the last one? That's great.
What are we talking about?
Oh gosh.
That's yeah.
She look wore out, don't she?
No, she look pensive. You feel me? Yeah. Maybe wore out too. Maybe fed up too.
Yeah. Who that is?
I don't know.
Oh. Let's do one more. I'm sorry to this woman.
Who is this? Yeah.
Sorry to this woman. Let's do one more and we're gonna bounce out. Oh, Shirley Du Bois. Whichever.
I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know.
We've been stumped. We've been stumped on that one.
I like that though. Let's do one more and bounce.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful portrait. That's another thing I was thinking, looking at the Angela Davis portrait, is, man, that's a beautiful portrait.
Yeah.
It looked like something far to it.
I was about to say, shout out to the photographers, the image makers, right? Yeah. Especially the black and white. See you, Tafari.
I think Pam Grier, skinfolk. Even I think there's what I know of her, I think there's been evolution. I think anybody who is willing to do a lot of self-reflection and then talk about that publicly, there's a special place in my heart for people who are open to doing it.
in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
So she kinfolk then.
I think so. But if she's not, somebody tell me. But yeah.
I
My
don't think she's not. I think again, right? She brings up the conversation about the product you put out and how it connects or disconnects from the person you are or who you become.
mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the imagery that she portrayed was taken in contexts that she didn't foresee,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And that's the thing, you can't do anything about that,
Yeah.
you know? So, but yeah, this was fun.
Listen, Charity, I just want to say you is smart, you is kind, you is important.
Thank you. You are also smart, kind, and important.
Oh, you didn't see the help? You don't know where that came from?
I've heard the phrase a million times, but ooh, did I lose my black card because I haven't seen the help?
No, I think you probably got an extra point.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't seen it. Like, who we shouting out before we leave this place?
Today we are shouting out we're shouting out
The Lighthouse,
Angela Davis. I don't know. I don't know.
African World Order, right?
Oh yeah.
Telling people to subscribe,
Our usual.
follow. That's really it. Thanks for the people in the chat to come through and say kind things.
Yeah.
Next week after next, we'll be back again.
We'll be back again. Still in search of blackness. We hope to have a guest for you next time. Yeah, one of the mottos at the Lighthouse is to have a plan and be flexible, and that's what we did today.
Had a plan and be flexible.
And be flexible. Yep. But yeah, this was great. Thank you, friend.
Always a plan. I got to get a better background. I need some stuff, but you know, coats is what it is.
That's what it is.
Peace, y'all.
Resistance, my simple and daily and nightly self-determination may very well cost you your life.